All right, guys, so let's get the painting part started. So whenever you do this, you can use any color that you have on hand. For this particular activity, I wouldn't suggest doing your color mixing right now, just because you're going to be continuing to add more drops of that color. And so if you would have to keep a tally on how many drops of each color you added if you were going to mix. So I'd just say for this activity, this first time at least, let's just keep it simple and keep one color. So for your yolk, you are going to, I'm just using this so I can get a little water. You're just going to be adding a little water into it to thin it out. And then let's kind of mix that up. So whenever we're painting this, to add it to make it so that we are going to be working with our shadows that we did before, we're going to be going from lightest to darkest in our shade. So I think the one in the pictures that I have on your worksheets, I used sort of the yellow orange. I'm just going to keep it to that. Don't be afraid of blue or green or red eggs. Those work too. I'm just going to go ahead and keep the color that you'll see in the pictures if you're following along that way too. So I can't remember the exact number that I said in there. I think it was like 3 to 5 drops in the beginning. So so I'm just going to go ahead and do that now and mix that up. So 1, 2, 3, I'll do 4, just to go ahead and split the difference. So now I'm gonna mix. So we are starting with our lightest shade. So remember how we did our shade and tint lessons earlier this year? So tint is if you add white, shade is when you add the darker color. So this would be a shade. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab a little bit. And then for this first coating, I am actually gonna use this as my lightest color in the entire thing. So I'm gonna do kind of a wash over the whole part. So here I go. I think that it looks pretty cool over the pencil lines. Sorry, it's hard for me to talk and do this at the same time. I've never been good at that. So I am just going ahead. Whenever I paint too, I usually have the strokes kind of following the directions of the lines. Do whatever you want to though. Just have fun with it. It does not even have to be used for this. You can paint, use the rest of it to just paint whatever you want. So that is about, get it on the edge there. There is my first coating of the egg tempura. I'm gonna smooth it out a little bit. Sometimes I notice whenever I'm painting with this stuff, whenever I put it down, it kind of like wipes all of it away right at first, so I kind of have to keep gliding it over to even it out. Maybe that won't happen for you, but all right, so there is my first coat. So now I am going to take this and I'm gonna add, I think I'll go ahead, I'll do just 4 more drops first. No, I'm gonna do 5. And then I'm gonna mix that up. If you have divided your yolk, you may not need to use quite as many drops since you'll have a smaller amount, but you can try it. Let's see if that is gonna be any darker. I may have to add more. So at this point, what you're doing is you, just where we did our first amount of the shading, where we had the white part, but then we did that. This is kind of that area. So yeah, so that's dark enough. So I'm gonna just kind of go over those areas where I added that little shade line the first amount. And I'm going to go ahead and cover the entire other part of the shaded part too. So this part, it's exactly like mimicking your drawing part, because you cover the same parts. The only part I'm really not covering is that white part that's supposed to be where our light source is hitting it. But all those other little parts, I'm gonna wipe some of that away, is there. You can attempt to kind of, I have a clean finger right now, so I'm gonna try and see about blending those parts so it's not quite a straight line, but that's okay. If it is a straight line, no biggie. Just have fun with it. This is just good practice for you, so see there, whenever I like do this, it like takes all the yolk away, so you may have to just kind of relayer some of those parts. I'm also outside and it's a cold day, so it's drying a lot faster, which is kind of disturbing it whenever I'm painting. So you guys just do it for whatever place you're in. All right, so then that is my next layer of that. So what do I do now? I'm gonna add more drops. So let's just keep going in groups of 5. That worked okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's see if that's gonna make it a lot darker. And then so this part, same thing as before. That was our first part of shading, that we kept that lightest color of shading up there, but I went ahead and did the whole thing. Now I'm gonna go in this heavier area of shading with my next darker color. That might need just a couple more drops, just so that you can really see it. Experiment with what works for you too. If you wanna go heavier, differences in your colors, then that's fine too. So just play a bit. Okay, so here's my next one. I like how that is. So then I'm not covering up all of my shade that I just had there, but I am gonna go just in those even more heavy areas of shadow. And if you get outside the lines, don't worry about it. Again, just practice, just having fun with painting. Painting like they did a long, long time ago when they used this egg tempera paint. So I'm just gonna cover it again to make it even a little bit darker in those areas near the bottom. And again, you can see it's just out of habit, just kind of following the lines. But if you, like the swoop of the egg down here, I just kind of do that. But you guys do what works for you. See if that would get a little bit more blended there. And that'll do. So just kind of blend it in. All right, so now I'm going to add more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'll do 7 this time. Mix, 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 mix. All right, so hopefully this is dark enough. If not, I'll add more. I think I might add a little bit more. So it seems like each time I've added color, I have had to increase my number of drops a little bit, but see what you like. So really for this line, it's one of my dog's hairs. For this little layer, I'm really just keeping it in that super heavy shadowed area. So I'm kind of using my brush in smaller strokes because I'm using less space to paint. So I'm really not going above that line at all where the gosh, sorry. Where that shadow line is. Alright. So this should be probably good enough. If you want to keep going and adding more drops, you can until it goes even darker around the edges. Again, this is going to be one of those things where it's just hard to stop, but I will. But I think that that's pretty good enough to like stop and get the point at least. So you can see the different layers, so the light to a little darker, to a little darker, to a little darker, and then the darkest down there at the bottom. And that's just where my light source was. If my light source was coming from a different angle in your home, whenever you're doing this, then it's not gonna look just like this. The shadows are gonna be on a different part of the egg. But basically you get the point. So then as this dries, this is going to be kind of shiny, which is a cool part of the egg tempera paint. The egg yolk makes it kind of its own glossy coating to it. And so that part's pretty cool actually. And then once it's dry,